The latest updated Fortnite Creator introduced a bunch of new devices, and today I'm going to show you guys 3 things that you can do with these devices and use them as effectively as possible. So let's jump right into it. Creating the water storm from Season 2 is now easier than ever. All you have to do is put out a giant water device and then do the almighty circle trick. But there's a little problem. The storm looks very nice and it really looks realistic to the original one, but we cannot actually have a storm that moves in. The device can only drain or fill the water vertically, no matter what you do. Even if you turn the device, it still is vertical. But the solution for that was sitting right in front of our eyes since the last update, because the prop mover can actually move the water tiles. Not the water device, but the water tiles, which we can basically use the same tricks on. Use the circle trick, make it a giant circle, and then let each and every single device move the water in. And it actually looks really convincing. The cool thing about this device is that you can actually go in and change the player damage on collision, which means as soon as the water tiles touching a player, they actually get damage. In conclusion, if you just want to create a very good looking water storm that sits outside of the arena where players are in, then you can just use the water device. It's much easier and much simpler to set up, but if you want to have an actual storm that moves in, you can use the water tiles in combination with the prop mover, and you have actual moving storm. The VFX Creator is undoubtedly one of the most customizable devices in the game, but also one of the hardest to use. While there's already creators which create absolutely insane stuff, there's a few secrets which you have to know to make this device work as simple as possible. Alright, so let's give you guys a few quick tips how to use this device. Alright, so let's take this red line which I just created as an example of how different things could be depending on just simple settings you change. For example, to create this line, the most important setting is actually the spawn zone shape. And you can see if I change this from point to, let's say, box, this looks a little bit different all of a sudden. I would even go as far as saying that this is probably the most important setting when it comes down to creating unique shapes. So for example, to create this line, we use the soft circle, which is a default setting. And it makes a lot of sense. A line could be made out of circles. But if you want to create something different, for example, if you want to go with these squares, you can see that we have a little bit more straight line and one that is not as soft on the edges. But let's say we want to create a cool looking laser beam. That is still a line, but how do we do that? Well, this time we have to go a little bit out of our comfort zone and have to use shapes which might look a little bit different. For example, the leaf right here can look really cool in a beam. You can see that it technically makes absolutely no sense, but it really looks like a cool laser beam in this case. One other setting which is super important is the gravity, and for whatever reason this setting is by default on 50, which makes the line look like this. And I don't understand why this is on 50, I think 0 would be the perfect thing here. But playing around with the gravity can dramatically change what you're creating. So for example, the 0 is obviously a straight line, or you can just completely go bonkers and go straight up. Also, the direction of the device is really important. For example, you can see on minus 100 gravity, we still go straight up. But as soon as I turn this, you can see that we have more like this kind of shape. So it's really important that you have the direction and the gravity right to make the shapes work perfectly fine. One last thing which is super important if you want to attach the VFX Creator to actual players, because you can actually do that. You can see you have a setting stick to player, and actually if you activate that setting, you get a different setting which allows you to stick it to different parts. But that is not everything. If you enabled all the right settings, you also need to enable the channel for that. And you have to enable the exact channel spawn at player when receiving from. If you do anything else, start effect at player or remove start at all players, it will not work. You have to do spawn at player when receiving from, put that to the channel of your choice. You can attach that to the player of your choice and you're good to go. And this is just the tip of the iceberg on what you can do with this device. If you, for example, want a full video on like how to create specific effects or how to go very in depth in this device, then definitely know in the comments. This device is absolutely insane and the things people can create with this are absolutely endless. So for the last one, I have a few mini ones which kind of do not make it a full point, but still I forgot them in the last video. So first thing is really cool that there's now a new scoreboard division which is called career. You can enable that in the settings and you can actually now have career stats in your games. I mean, if you have a save device, you can actually have all the stats from every game you ever played in your games and have them listed up in the career setting. This is the normal one, which shows the normal games, and you can also have the career one, which I personally think is a really cool addition to the game. This one is also one which I completely overlooked in the patch notes, and it is the Switch device actually has 3 new models, and especially the checkbox here, which actually gives you a check mark if you enable it, looks really cool. So I think that is a really cool addition, which I completely overlooked. The tank inside of the first person glitch, you can say, that you can make looks absolutely bonkers. You can even see the hands here. It is absolutely cool. You can zoom in and it really makes using a tank a lot different. There's one little thing which is a little bit weird. If you go out or if you switch seats, you have this view, and that is obviously the turret, and it looks a little bit odd from here on. So that's very interesting. So if you tell your players to never go out, then yes, it works. But other than that, yeah, tank and first person is very interesting. And that wraps it about up for today's video. Hope you enjoyed this one. Hope you could learn something. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you guys back in the next one. Bye.